Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today we'll start the Zevachim, daf mem daled. We're going to begin about 10 lines from the top by the two dots. Excuse my cold. So it says, Kol sheyesh lo matirin bein l'adam bein l'mizbeach chayav lo mishum pigul. Namely, that our Mishnah said that if you have a machshava, let's say at a time of shchita, and your machshava was something regarding achilas adam or achilas mizbeach, then there'll be a din of pigul. Fine. So Tanabanan, enu maybe ella kiyotze b'shlamim. Maybe the only time is if it's comparable, says Rashi, Reish the Brisa b'Toras Kohanim Indian pigul katani. This is actually the beginning of a Brisa, says Rashi. Lo yechayev ella al hashlamim bilvad. It says you're only chayiv. You would think you're only chayiv on shlamim. Talmud loimer le'inyan tuma v'yenazir mikadshe, and l'kaman yolef noiser chil matuma pigul b'avan b'naiser. We'll see a bunch of gzer shavas coming up. So that's what this means. So enu maybe el kiyotze b'shlamim. Ma shlamim yuchadim nechal l'shnei yamim v'layel echad. So when it comes to a shlamim, the din is that you can eat it for the period of 2 days and 1 night. So av kol nechal shnei yamim b'layel echad. Maybe therefore it's coming to include anything else which is like a shlamim, namely if it's during the same time period for eating it. Nechal yom b'layla minayin. How do we know if, let's say, it's only a day and a night? Talmud Leimer mibasar. So pigul will apply even if it's not 2 days, but even if it's just 1 day and 1 night, same din will apply. Kol shishirin nechalin, anything in which its leftovers are eaten by a person. Oila she'ein shiroi nechalin minayin. How do we know when it comes to an oila, as we saw in our Mishnah, that also there's a din pigul? Talmud Leimer Zevach, and there it has a matir because it maters the amorim of the mizbeach, as we said, and the kohanim can eat can also get the hides. Menayin l'rabos ha'ofos about menachos. So when it comes to an oaf, in which there is a matir, again for it to be put on the mizbeach, but the kohanim don't get anything there, or a mincha. So ad shani marbe lug shemen shomat saira. And maybe also when it comes to the lug shemen shomat saira, Talmud Leimer asher he makdishim li yasi noiser chilul matoma yasi pigul oven menaiser. So again, we have these gzer shavas to link everything that there's a din pigul by all of them. So miachash yourself a rabbis called davar woman never shlamim ata. So why does it need to be mentioned by shlamim if in fact it's something which applies to all, basically everything? So lamacha ma shlamim yuchadim sheish lehen matirin bein adam bein mizbeach. When it comes to a shlamim, it's matir because the adam, a person could eat the meat, and some of it is put onto the mizbeach. So av kol sheish lo matirin bein adam bein mizbeach chayav mishum pigul. Oila dama matir es besara. The dam maters its meat to be brought onto the mizbeach. The oil kohanim. So an oil actually has two things. Oil is oaf dama matir es besara mizbeach. At least it's allowed to. It's put on the mizbeach. Chatas oif dama matir es besara kohanim. That the kohanim can eat from the chatas oaf. Parmin esrafim, besirim and esrafim, damim maters imurehin likarev. Right? So it doesn't mean you have to have both, but at least have to have one matir. Umoitzani as a kaimitz, vessel avaina, vakataris, uminchas kohanim, uminchas komishiach, uminchas nesachim v'adam, which is basically what our Mishnah said, because they themselves are the matir. Rav Shimon Omer, mashlamim yuchadim sheish boy. So our Mishnah said there's a difference between the mizbeach achitzayin and the mizbeach panimi. So shlamim is put on the outside mizbeach. V'chayav no love. So I've kol shishno mizbeach achitzon chayav lo mishum pigul. Yotze parman esrafim misimin esrafim. Hoyel she'ein mizbeach achitzon kishlomim en chayav lo mishum pigul. So again, it's a machlokas in our Mishnah, but that's the logic. Because Shimon says even more should it be compared to the shlomim. Okay, so Omer Mar. Kiyotz b'shlomim my nihu. What's similar to a shlomim? Bechor. After all, they're both kadoshim kalim. The nechol shnei yamim v'layl echad. And also, it's for 2 days and 1 night. So, b'mai asi. Iba mamatzinu, iko mifrach malo shomim shachentun smicha nesachim and tenuvas chaz v'shaik. So, a shlomim has other requirements, such as you do smicha on a shlomim, there's a company, we have libations that accompany it, and there's also the waving of the chaz v'shaik, which does not apply by a bechor. Ella, therefore you have to learn out from a pasuk, me'im ha'achal yachal. So hani trei klali the smichi hadadi ninhu. We have these 2 klals that are written next to each other. Says Rashi, shlo nichtav haprat el b'soif. The prat's only at the end. So Merava kidiyami b'merava kol makam shata moitze shnei klalos hasmuchos zelazeh hatal prat b'neihem v'dain b'klal prat. Actually, even though it's klal and prat, you put the prat in between. So therefore it has to be ke'ein haprat. Okay. Fine. Which I think is also by Dugim. I think it brings it, Rashi doesn't say what it is. Okay. Ad shani marba lug shemen shel mitzayra. So how mani rameir he desanya lug shemen shel mitzayra chayavin ala mishum pigul. Divra meir, because that's what our Mishnah said. Even though it's a machlokes, because it's not brought at the same time as the asham, but like 10 days later, it doesn't matter. Ema seifa moiteni minchas nesachim. He excludes the minchas nesachim. Vadam. So atanu rabbanan the sanya nichse behema. Showing that the dam, but the nichse behema chayavno mishum pigul memnei shedam hazevach matirin likar de Rameir. Only Rameir says that. So the rabbanan says by nichse behema you're chayav pigul, right? So Amrullah v'lo adam mevias zvachiv hayoyim l'sachem mikan v'ad sar yamim, right? So therefore the dam the dam is not a mater, the dam isn't mater, and also the shemen shouldn't be mater. So how could we say before that we include it, that you're chayav mishum pigul, when we see over here it says l'sachem is mikan v'ad sar yamim, so it shouldn't be pigul. It's only if it comes at the same time. You're right. It depends. If it's not at the same time, then I agree it doesn't work. However, if the shemen comes at the same time as the asham, then you're right. Then it does work. Then it will be pigul. Rabbi Yosef Hamani Rabbi Hidiyamer Lug Shemen Shematzayra Mas Naisav Sharulei, that the gifts of oil matter it. Umid mas naisav sharle, since it's a matter, so mas naisav mefalgale. So therefore, if it itself is a matter for the carbon, so therefore it could be mefagel. The sanya lug shemen shel mitzayra mo'alan bo ad she yizar kadam. Nizar kadam, once you sprinkle the blood, hu nehenan vo mo'alan. Rabbi Yomer Mu'alan at Shiyitin Mat Naisav. He says until you give its gift. And the boy knows the oils. V'shavin Sha'aser Bachila at Shiyitin Matin Sheva Umatin Bahonais. And it's Ma'akiv, the 7 and the Matin Bahonais is required. It says Rashi Shefilu Nasa Matanos Gavoa. Aser hu midrabanan achitin av matan bahanois. So Amar Kamei the Rabbi Yirmiyah Amar Gavar Rabbi Rav Yosef, a great person like him, Lema Ki HaMilsa. He said such a thing as we continue to Mem Dalam Mabez. Hari lug haba b'fnei atzmo. If it comes by itself, the koliyama matanaisav sharole. V'lo mafalgin. It says that it's not pigul. Desanya lug shemen shel mitzayra chayav and lo mishom pigul. Why? Mimnei shedam atiro lo bahanois. The Rameir. It's the dam. Omer Rameir v'lo adam maybe asham o ashav. V'lug mikad b'adasar yamim. It could be much later. So mohen afini lo marti ella b'ba ima asham. If it's brought at the same time. So elam Rav Yirma oylam Rameir he v'sami mikan nesachim. You should delete the word nesachim. Rabbi oylam will tasmi. Don't delete that. The tana lug haba im ha'asham. The wadim nesachim haboyin im zevach. It was at the same time. The other tana the sachim haboyin b'fnei atzmo and v'hodin leloig haba b'fnei atzmo. So we're basically making a distinction if it happens at the same time or separately. Question 1. Be'elu beis davarim plig Rameir v'chachamim the Rameir yeshem pigul mimnei sheishem mater v'chachamim ein behem pigul mimnei sheyachal haviyim li'achar zman. So we just said that's the lug shemen shel mitzayra as well as the minchas nisachim. Okay. So let's see what we have over here. Okay, let's keep going. Chatas oif. Also, there's a din pigul because dama matir es besor kohanim. So minhanimili. How do we know that its blood is matir the basar to the kohanim? So the Tani Levi, the pasuk says kol. This extra word kol, karbanaim. Rabbis lug shemen shel mitzayra. Sachdat gamina mina eish kasav rachmana. Something from fire. V'haylav mutter mina eshu kamash mulan. Okay, so this is actually going on the Minan Amili is going on the lug shemen that it doesn't have to be dam or doesn't have to be put onto the mizbeach. This also is a mater. L'choyel minchasam l'rabos minchas oimer minchas hakanois. So why not? Sagadat chamina. Yachol Samasher keeper behem minchas oimer lahater asya uminchas kanais lavar avain kaasi kamashmon. So the minchas kanais is the saita. It's not kapara. It's just to figure out whether or not she was boiled community shasish. And when it comes to the minchas oimer, it's lahater. It's just to allow the new grains. It's not for kapara. So you would think it's totally on something in which is related to kapara. So kamashmon that even those there is still pigul. You would think it's nevela. Why? Because you did malika. Okay. Shamam. Rabbos Ashim Nazir, Bashim Atzayra, Sagda Amina, Lahashik Asu Kamash Malan. They're really coming to Machshir. It's not a kapara. Ashim Atzayra Behedik Sibbe. El Rabbos Ashim Nazir Ka Ashim Atzayra. Ashi Yashivu said Gezel Hager. Lachahu Shulcha Yeh Feel Kaddish was Isha. It's yours, you can be a Kaddish Isha with it. Tanya, Rabbi Elazar, Raimir Mishom, Rabbi Yosef Glili. Pigul bedavar hanas bechutz pigul. So let's say a person. Let's look at Rashi first. It seems like really unrelated. Ashia shivu zegez olger says asham hamoishem asham akayin. Asham ze keren hamoishev ze chaimish shagoizel chavero. You steal from someone. Benishbol boy lohi meshua v'achachayda. You have to pay keren the to the owner, and the asham is to the mizbeach. But what if the person you stole from a ger umeis the ein lo yarshin? So lachziru lahem. So how do you return it? Nasnu akasul kayin. So then you have to give the keren the chaimish to a kayin. That's what it's referring to. Fine. So we say over here. We're talking about pig b'davar hanas b'fnim, something what's brought inside lo pigel. Okay, so it's pigel b'davar nasa b'chutz. Only something which is put on the outer mizbeach is pigel, but not bifnim. Ketzad ha'oimid b'chutz. Let's say you're outside v'omad v'omar harini sheichet lahazais midamo lamachar. My intention is to shecht and to sprinkle its blood tomorrow. Lo pigel shemak shava b'chutz b'davar hanasa bifnim lo pigel, because the hazah, that's something which is done inside, so it's not going to be pigel. Ha'oimed bifnim. Let's say you're standing inside. V'oimer hareini mazal manasal hakter imurim. I'm going to sprinkle on condition to be makter the sacrificial parts. V'lishboich shirayim l'machar lo pigel. Shemach shabba bifnim b'davar hanasa b'chutz. So that's something which is done on the outside, so it doesn't work. Avol ha'oimed b'chutz. Let's say you're standing outside. Which is done on the outside too, then pigel. Shemach shava b'chutz, b'davar hanas b'chutz. Rabbi Shimon Levi, Mikra. So where's the pasuk that substantiates everything we just said? Kasher yuram mishor Zevachim. V'chila manu mishor Zevachim ma'ata. We learned everything already from a Shlomim. El Makish Park Koin Mashiach L'Shor Zevach HaShlomim. Ma Shor Zevach HaShlomim Ad Shihu Ma'asav V'Machshavosav Al Mizbeach HaChitzon. Everything has to be done on the outside. Al Park Koin Mashiach Ad Shihu Machshavosav Masav Al Mizbeach HaChitzon. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabbi Baravu, Amar Rav Halacha Kerbe Lezer Shomer Misham Rabbi Yosi. The halacha is like this. Amar Rabbi Hilchasa. You're telling me that's the halacha. Is that Hilchas al-Mashiach? You know, and tell me a law for what's going to happen in Moshe Mashiach, right? Not that it's not important, but kol shchitas kachim lo lisni Hilchas al-Mashiach. Like, what are we doing over here? Why are we learning Mistach Zevachim? Right? Everything is for Mashiach. El darsh v'kabel sachar. Hakadami darsh v'kabel sachar. Hakakim inalach. Hilchas al-Lamali. What's the purpose? Lishnachrina amali halacha kamina. You're just saying that this is the halacha. Okay. All right, let's maybe see another question. Stop there. So, okay, so again, there's two things. There's a machlokus, because it could be done later on. That's the Nesachim, or by the shemen of the Metzora. Ksib b'matanas kahuna, b'matnas kahuna, zeyilcha mikodesh kadashim, l'chol minchasam, l'chol chatasam, ma bol rabbis kol the mincha. So it's a minchas Oimer and Minchas Kanais, because they're not for Kapar. One's the Machshir Chadash, as well as the Machshir Chadash, and also the Minchas Kanos is just to Levar whether in fact she was Tameh. So you think maybe it doesn't include that, and by a Chatas it comes to include chatas ha'oif, where you do malika, so you think it's in the vela. So what does he write? Kol rabos chatas ha'oif, sangadei l'chamina, nevelahi kamash malan. Okay. Question, let's see if there's another question here. TA 24. Waman diyam yesh pigo b'chatas ha'pnimis, ma hadin b'shachat al manas lahazais, o lishmach shirayim o lahati morim lamachar. So lahazais is done inside. Shvichas shirayim lahati morim is outside. So even though it's pigel, so lahazais, let's see what it says. Lahazais lo havi pigel, because the choshe b'chutz al davar manas mifnim. However, lahaktil lishmoich havi pigel. So in other words, it has to be where you are is the place where it would be done, right? So therefore, since the hazah is bifnim and you're b'chutz, that wouldn't work. But if you're b'chutz and we're talking lishmach shirayim hakter imurim, that is done outside, then it would be there would be pigel on that, which is the same question over here. Exact same question. So let's get this down. That was Mem Dalam Beis. And for some reason I didn't mark this down. I don't know why. This is TA 24 and TB 24. So as we said, when it comes to, let's see what I wrote. Maybe I got it right. Lishchait. Yesh me'ila. I'm not sure if this is lishchait. Gam lahater imurim yesh me'ila. It's not talking about me'il. We're talking about pigel, right? We're talking about pigel. So lahater imurim is pigel, and also shirayim is pigel. Aval, it's completely wrong. Aval lahazais ein pigel. Why? Let me write this down. Hoyel hu b'chutz. Is that avoidas bifnim? As opposed to the other ones, while you're hu va'avadasai b'chutz. Adkan.